Hello, this video we're going to cover minor 7 inversions, and we're going to be working on the E, the bottom E, the low E, the D, the G, and the B strings. We're going to be muting the A, which is the second one in from this side, of course the only A on the guitar, I don't know why I pointed that out, and then this side we're going to be muting out the high E string. And we're going to be muting them out the fleshy part of our fingers. Usually if you just go for the notes you want and ignore the rest, it happens naturally. You don't have to really go out of your way and think about muting these chords. It usually just happens if you just go for the notes you want, just ignore the rest. Not the kind of language you'd be expected to be hearing from an experienced guitar player, but I can tell you right now that the sloppier the better. Actually, don't take my word for it. Try it yourself and you'll see. So let's go ahead and get started down here on the 3rd fret. We're just going to do a rap back here, which is basically our thumb's going to come over the back. And I know there's some purists out there that don't like that, but I suppose, you know, I just won't join the orchestra. I won't play with the orchestra. And you know what? I don't think the orchestra even has a guitar in it, so I guess I'm going to be okay. So, at any rate, let's go ahead and wrap our thumb around the back on the 3rd fret to get our G, because we're going to do this in G, just like we've been doing the rest of the inversions. G is kind of the easy key to play in. And then we've got, we could wrap our index finger around the front, or we can wrap our middle. In either case, we're going to do something like this. So basically it's our thumbs up back here, and then this finger wraps around front. I do this. You sort of pinch the A string in between your thumb and your forefinger. And that's a G minor 7. So you got your 1 on the bottom, your flat 7, then your flat 3, and then your 5's on top. So the formula for this chord is 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, G minor 7. That's the root position on the E, D, G, and B strings. We'll see you in the next inversion. The next inversion is based off of the flat 3. It's the first inversion. We just did the root position. And normally people would think, you know, root position is first inversion and so on. And you can look at it any way you want. You can do first, second, third, fourth inversion. You can look at it that way. I'm just going the traditional route, just so I don't make too many people angry out there. And so we're going to go ahead and, so this was our 1, and our next note in the chord formula is a flat 3. So that's going to be a whole step and a half away, step away. So that's going to be a B flat right here. And then please look at your PDF diagram supplemental downloads for further clarification on where to put your fingers and so on. There are PDF downloads that go with each one of these videos. And there's our first inversion, G minor 7. Our flat 3's on the bottom. And just like any of the other chords, operates on the same fundamental principles. If you move it down this way, then of course you're going to be changing tonic down here, so it goes from a G to an F sharp, and then an F, and so on down the line. And you can probably figure that out. If you've gotten this far and you're at the point where you're doing these chords, it's pretty safe to say that you know what you're doing by now. If not, that's pretty much what happens is if you just move it up 1 fret, you know, then the root position comes up with it, and everything's relative. So we'll see you in the next inversion. The next inversion is based on the D, the note D, and D is up here on the 10th fret. Please refer to your PDF diagram. That will give you a more exact definition on where to put your fingers and so on. You can probably tell what I'm trying to do. I've got this barred back here on the 8th fret, and then I've got my ring finger here on the 10th fret. The back of this finger is meeting out the A string, and then I've got my pinky coming in on the G string. So that's G minor 7, second inversion. And the 5's on the bottom, so D's on the bottom. G minor 7 / D. And just like all the other chords, this chord can be moved up or down to suit your purposes and be made to do whatever you want. So get going, and we'll see you in the next inversion. This last inversion is based on the note F instead of F sharp, because with a minor 7 chord, the 7 is flatted, and so the 7 naturally would fall in the slot F sharp, and since it's flatted, it's just going to be a natural F. So it's possible for those out there who are not familiar with music theory to flat a flat or sharp. Flat a black key. You know, that might sound weird to some people, but it's actually true. You can flat a black key back to a natural key. You can even flat the F back to an E. So from a natural to another natural, flatting, or an E sharp would be an F, and so on and so forth. This last inversion is based on flat 7. The flat 7 in the key of G is F. It's usually the natural F is, or the natural 7 is F sharp. So we're going to flat the F sharp back to an F. And yes, you can flat a black key back to a white. So the F sharp then goes back to F natural. F natural is up on the 13th fret. We're going to do what looks like an A minor form with these 3 fingers, our index, middle, and ring. And then our pinky is going to go on the bottom. So that's a G minor 7 with the flat 7 on the bottom. And a lot of those chords, or a lot of these types of inversions, the third inversion in particular, where the 7 or the 6 or the flat 7 is on the bottom, are really kind of odd sounding. But when they're surrounded with something that, when you got a lot of root sound around a flat 7, it sounds pretty good. But just by itself, it's going to sound a little strange. It's just something. It's just another thing you got to try and get used to. But eventually, you'll get used to listening to that and hearing it. And so a lot of this stuff, when it gets introduced, is like coffee to kids. They don't really appreciate it. You can't really appreciate a good cup of coffee until you're older. They're just hooked on cooling. So with that metaphor, I wanted to say thanks for watching, and we'll probably see you in the next group of inversions. This has been minor 7 chords, root, first, second, third inversion on the E, D, G, and B strings. I'm Stu Johnson, Second Floor Studios. Thanks for watching. See you at lessons.